Hello, everybody, and welcome to Deadpan Studio Podcast. We have a show called Deadpan Studio Presents. Now, what you're seeing right now, obviously, is video, and you will see a bunch of friendly faces from the cast and the crew of The Dark. Now, The Dark is a TV series that is just about to premiere here in just a few weeks with underneath of Rossetti Productions. And we've got some very fine people here to be able to talk a little bit about the whole experience. And I would like to introduce first Mr. Alan Hogan, who you all already know anyway, just because he was the one that was able to get this whole thing together because he's actually in the show.
So if you're going to blame anybody.
I'm so glad you said that, Alan. I'm so glad you said that. Anything good or bad that happens, email him and not me.
That's right.
All right, so let's do a quick roundabout. Let's have everybody explain who they are, their character on the show. Anyway, but first, Mr. Matthew Allen.
Hi.
There you are. It's coming up to speaker view. Since the director, the writer, Mr. Chip Rossetti, is not here currently, he may join us later on. Would you give us a little bit of background about what The Dark is about, as well as yours and Chip's functions on that?
Well, I was the cinematographer on the film, and Rossetti Productions is a pretty tight-knit family, so we're all there to support each other. So moral support is always our goal as well. And Chip is the producer, writer, director. He did the rough cut edit on it before he sent it to our friends at Questar to do all the finishing work up in Chicago. And so obviously creative director for everything that you saw as well. And The Dark is an end of time series starring all these wonderful folks. You have the armies of darkness hunting down Christians across the face of the earth. And Kevin Sizemore plays Pastor Peter Braxton. And the crux of the story is that he's trying to get his son back. And The Dark, played by Sylvia, is throwing up all sorts of roadblocks to try to keep him from doing that, and also holding his son.
Very cool. Now, you all had a pretty quick production, from what I understand. And of course, this was I heard Chip mention it before he went off for a bit. My fault. Sorry, audience. I accidentally kicked everybody out and closed the Zoom before we recorded. I keep it real. Audience knows that I make mistakes. But he was talking about how you all were filming in October of last year. Is that correct?
October through November. We started mid-October, ended mid-November. And I think the cast would agree the difference in temperature and weather was probably one of the biggest problems that we had. We started off in basically fall weather, and it was just about day after tomorrow by the time we were done. I was afraid that we were going to start losing fingers and toes off of our cast because they had to be in basically light fall weather. They started their wardrobe in mid-October when it was still decent outside, and since it's the end of times and it's not like everybody was packing around a whole bunch of clothes, they couldn't really change very much. So it was pretty darn cold, and they were still in pretty light gear. So they toughed it out.
I'm sure it made it a little more simple to act like you all were suffering through things, because you all actually were with that cold weather, I would say. So let's see here. Who have we got on here with us? So I believe we've got you. We've got Mr. John Wells, who plays who?
I play Mike. Mike is kind of the reluctant guide for the little band of survivors. He's the guy who, within their little stronghold, he's the one who goes out on medicine runs and supply runs. So he's accustomed to the way things are out in the world, and he's been navigating through all the dangers through the end of time. So they kind of have to trust him to get them to where they need to go. But he's kind of he's sort of a dark, roguish loner guy, and his loyalties are sometimes questionable, and he's a lot of fun. So
I'm sure everybody has to at least find some way to have fun with the characters that they embody, like Mr. see if I can find you on my screen. I've got it. It's split. There you are. You're in the bottom right corner of mine. Mr. Sylvia Bush, who do you play?
I had the distinct honor to play the titular character of the Dark, who goes by many names. And initially, it was sort of a like a last minute decision almost. Like it was sprung on me. I was initially going for a different character, but when I came out to sort of like a final audition to kind of seal the deal or whatever, the director Chip, he kind of sprung this on me. He's like, I know you can pull this role off that you're going for, but I really, really need somebody to play the devil. I just have not found anybody that can play the devil, and I think you would nail the devil. And like, I don't know what it says about me if you think that of me. Thought you liked me, but but no, I mean, he meant it in a very complimentary way. And I was just like, can you just look it over real quick? And and I looked through the sites that he gave me, and the more I read about it, the more like, oh yeah, oh yes, yes, I want to be the Dark.
Something you can really sink your teeth into. I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was great
so.
fun. It was just very, very complex and great layers and not stereotypical at all. So it was a lot. I mean, like I really got into it and I absolutely tremendously enjoyed that. It was one hell of a ride.
I guess that's kind of the draw for a character like that, especially the way that he's presented historically, as well as what I'm assuming, because obviously I haven't seen the episodes because it hasn't premiered yet. October 1st, ladies and gentlemen. We'll say that officially at the end as well. But you're able to relate to the audience with the way you're portraying the character, so that the only way to really treat a truly evil character like the Dark is to make them endearing to the audience, so that the audience almost can kind of understand where that character's coming from.
Now, here's the kicker. You're gonna love this, or maybe not. Maybe it scares you a little bit. It scared me a little bit. Is when I was really kind of sinking my teeth into the character, and I was like really, I was studying it, I was rehearsing it, I was really just kind of trying to get into this character. And the deeper I got into the character, the more it started actually messing with my mind, to the point that I couldn't sleep well anymore. I had nightmares. I kept waking up. I was restless and like, what the hell is going on? I didn't immediately make a connection. But then at one point I said, wait a minute. It's the role. It's the character, right? So, I mean, you would think that, heck, it's just the character, it's just written on paper. It's not real. But if you as the actor take such a difficult character and such a dark character, lack of a better term, it can actually really kind of mess with you a little bit, right? So as much as I enjoyed that role, when we were done with production, I also kind of enjoyed putting it aside and kind of, I don't know if that makes any sense. Yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense, but it really, these type of characters, they can really mess with you a little bit. But
it does, because it's like when you're an actor, you, like anybody here can attest, you're putting some of yourself into it, not necessarily the evil parts, but you're going to places and pushing yourself to places that you would never thought you could before. And Absolutely. It taxes you so much that when you're done with the role, you do put it away so that you can breathe a sigh of relief, no matter what kind of role it is.
Yep, exactly.
So we've also got a Miss Sarah Cleveland. She's the next one on my screen here.
Hey! I play Melanie Braxton, wife to Peter and mom to Danny. And a little tricky to explain where I come from in this. Melanie is just I guess, a woman, I explained before, like a woman who's really strong in her faith and just adores her family, mission work. It's really hard because I feel like I'm just giving away a big piece of it, but I think she's just kind of an important part behind what happened before. So she's more of the understanding of where Peter's head is, and you get to see a little bit of a softer side in that aspect. That's really all.
Well, that's cool. Let's see who else we got. Who's the next one? Let's see here. Miss Jessica Bell.
That's me. Hi.
Hi.
I play the role of Adrienne Worth. She is pretty much taken it upon herself to be the motherly figure of the group, the caretaker, the nurturer. She's without her kids. She briefly mentions them through the first season, and I think just that natural need to take care of everybody. I do like the growth that she has. She kind of gains her strength and gains her faith, I think was the coolest thing, because through all this, she kind of held on to that, where there was a lot of breaking for, I think, other characters. And but I just love the motherly figure. Her, she kind of just took on that role as the mom of the group until she can address that back in her own life. But she really just cares a lot about everybody, and I think she's always up to take a stand and be strong, when she needs to be. But other than that, she just wants to keep everybody safe and out of trouble, really.
Which, if you think about it, that she's almost part of the big backbone of everybody pushing forward.
Yeah, and I think that's for her own mental health too, is she can't be a caretaker to those that she loves in her own family. So she's kind of taken on this family as her own and just wants to be a part of it and do the best she can, I think. But yeah, she definitely has some strength in there, but she tries to just keep everybody on level-headed a little bit. Yeah, but
Totally
she was so much fun to play. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So next we have how do you pronounce your last name? Is it Kelly Bartram?
Yep, that's perfect.
Oh, yay! I'm bad with pronunciation of names, so I'm very happy I got that right.
No, I've gotten Batman, Bartman. I've gotten everything. So that was very impressive. So
You will only be Kelly Batman to me from now on.
I was just going to say the same thing.
You've sealed the deal on that.
Yeah. There's Batman.
She should change her Zoom name to Kelly Batman right now.
I
love it.
Myself a hole right now.
Wait till next season.
I know.
When the credits roll.
I play Jennifer in the dark, and she is sort of the curveball of the group, if you will. She's kind of taken under their wing, doesn't really know her place in the beginning, is kind of just, following everyone, not really sure what she can contribute. And we see her get in these situations as anyone at the end of times would do, and sort of harden and grow and show her bravery. And so I think it's a really cool aspect to show like what this time and what these are doing to people, and how it kind of adds that grittiness and that hard layer on top of someone who normally would never probably show that bravery, if it wasn't the end of times.
Yeah, that's something that I think the audience can learn from, to kind of pull from within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of relate to that. That's, seems like all these characters, of course, we still got a few more to get to, but all these characters so far just sound like, something that the audience can really latch onto and care about and put some of themselves into, that. And that could be, a lot of that's due to Chip's writing.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Next, we've got one of my co-hosts over here sporting a very beautiful shirt representing Mr. Alan Hogan.
Hello. Yeah, Alan Hogan. I play Blake. Blake, at least before everything went down and the world was a different place, he was a lovable goof, and his backstory, I think, might eventually come out later. There is a lot about each and every one of these characters that comes to light as the show goes on, and hopefully that isn't finished yet. So I'll just say that Blake's main goal in what everybody will be seeing is to find his friend, and he just wants everything to be okay, like everybody else. But it's kind of tough to really talk about. Like Sarah said earlier, you don't want to give anything away. So he's just a good-hearted person who wants the best for everybody around him.
Very cool. Next, Mr. Dylan Cruz.
Hey, I play Jeremy in the dark, and what to say about Jeremy, you guys? There's so much to say about him. I just feel like, so due to circumstances that happened and transpired within the first season of the show, he's just always on 10. Unfortunately, he went through some things that has kind of compromised his thinking, and it causes a lot of turmoil within him as a person, which then leads him to kind of be a little bit of a risk to have around. And without giving too much away, he's just kind of this unstable person at this point. And yeah, we get to kind of see him operate in that. So yeah, it's very fun to play, but also very challenging. So
yeah, I can imagine that. Goodness. Last but certainly not least is Mr. Kevin Sizemore. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thank you. I play Pastor Peter Braxton, and as Sarah mentioned earlier, she plays my wife, and our son is really what I'm trying to find here, because you'll learn early on that there's a situation that occurs with Sarah's character and my character that you see that's throughout. That's why she had to be very specific on what she did or did not say. But what really ties Peter and keeps him moving the whole time is the love he has for her and the love he has for his son. And I don't want to spoil anything there when it goes to my son, because there's a twist there as well. But now that you all know that Silvio is the dark, I've always specified the people that are with us, all the cast members, aside from Matthew, who is the DP on this, but we're all in a congregation together, led by me, and everything has been great. Everything was wonderful back in time, and my family was intact. I had a great congregation, and little by little, my congregation gets ripped away. My wife, there's an interesting situation happens there. There's another situation with my son. So over the course of time where we are living, it's almost like The Walking Dead without the zombies. We're in an apocalyptic world where we don't know what's going on. But the one thing we do know is the dark, whatever it is, now that we know that Silvio, the dark hasn't gotten to where we are yet, which we're kind of in a safe haven place. That's actually the name of the episode, right? The first episode?
Yeah.
Is that right? Safe haven? Yeah. Oh, wow. Anyway, so that's kind of where we are as a safe haven until one of the characters comes back and says, it's crazy. We can't go out there. And then we have another shocking thing that happens with another character, and that gives me a little hope, because I've literally lost all hope after everything that's happened. And you'll see this really take place in episode 1. I've just lost my soul. I've lost my will to fight. I've lost my sense of faith. And I'm slowly, very, very slowly trying to gain it all back. And it's because of everyone else other than Silvio that is supporting me to give me that strength to get back. And again, I said it earlier, this premieres on PureFlix on October the 1st. And they do have a 7-day free trial. So you can go on and watch an episode or so, and hopefully you'll like it.
What do you mean I don't support you? I support you all the way. You just accept it.
You support me in ways I shouldn't be supported.
He supports you in ways that nobody else wants to support you.
You just have to let me in.
I will say something. My wife and I watched the series last night, and she just gravitated to one character, and it was Alan. She loved you, Alan. She just thought it was phenomenal.
Well, thank you very much.
And it's not that anyone else is bad. She just goes, you know what? I like that. I like him. He jumped out at you, which was really interesting. Because on set, no one liked you. No one.
I thought maybe tonight might be the last time he's on this podcast, but
yeah, everybody hates Alan.
Yeah, in the show now, but only end it for Alan.
Yes.
Couldn't stand the guy.
That's pretty cool. Tell her thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah. And that another thing about Blake, me and John and I, and I'm sure Kevin and others were probably like, yeah, let's do that. I don't think it was written in the script that Blake and Mike had this like tension with one another.
No, that was we kind of ripped that ourselves. I think that was just something we played with.
Yeah, and I forgot about that. I forgot about us discussing that until I was watching certain episodes, and I was like, "Why did I do that?" And oh, and there is one line in particular that I don't think was written. I might be wrong, but how you delivered it, it cracked me up while we were watching, because that's when all those memories started coming back. Shut up, Blake.
Yeah, that was just thrown in. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, Matt, what we did do, which was great, we all stayed in a big hotel. We were there. Literally, we were there for 6 weeks as a family. We're just together hanging out. We worked together. There was really not much to do in that area unless we went into town together. We ate together. We watched movies there on the property together. And late at night, either all of us or select a few would all get together and just go downstairs and just work on the characters and work on the scenes and just try to get it as familiar and as comfortable as we can, because when you're shooting a production like this, it's you don't have time to do 30 takes on something. You got to move, and it was cold and we didn't want to stay out there forever. So but
that was my favorite part, honestly, was that time at the hotel, the nights before each shoot. That was probably my favorite part.
Well, it gave us all a chance to really get to know each other, because unfortunately I haven't had the pleasure of being around a lot of people. Like, Dylan, for example, he's from Chicago. Kelly's in Nashville. I think Sylvia and John, they're, and Sarah, you guys are like Lexington, right? Is that correct?
Lexington and Louisville.
Yeah.
Louisville, I'm sorry. And then Alan's nearby, and Jessica, where were you at, Jessica?
Tennessee, in Cookville.
So, and I'm from Los Angeles. So we had, and there's a few other characters that came in and around. So even though some people might know each other, we all didn't know each other. And it wasn't just like the actors hung out together. It was the actors, and it was the crew members, and it was everyone together. And we knew we were in for a big challenge. But I tell you, I was quite surprised what we saw when when I just finished these episodes. And I'm hoping everyone else will enjoy it as well.
Very much.
We had a fantastic crew.
Adversity breeds greatness, and that hotel was its own adversity in and of itself.
I think the hotel was the dark.
Yeah.
It played its role and played it well.
Creative genius.
It was the warmest one the whole time.
Did any of you guys have like the shining moments in those hallways?
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
at 6 in the morning every day.
Halloween night. I remember Halloween night. We did the screening of the Shining together in the restaurant. That was a lot of fun. That was one of my favorite like behind the scenes moments was Halloween night, watching The Shining together. That was a good time.
And that was actually the first time that we decided to do that, to just have movies available to show. And I think that as a crew member, like Kevin said, it was very much a group thing, but I had a blast with you guys, and it was great to be able to have most of the cast there for the entire month, because we're so used to trading people out when we did the Dream Motel. So you got to meet a lot of folks, but you didn't really get to know them. So it was a blessing to me to have you guys around and to have you be so willing to become such a group.
I think it helped production and just on-screen chemistry. I mean, we bonded so much in those moments, and we really just got to know each other as people, and that level of comfort with each other, I think, allowed for a lot more trust in front of the camera. And I mean, we were just, like everyone's already said, we were blessed with such a great group of people, and the chemistry just happened so naturally.
Yeah.
Trust each other. I mean, we really just trusted each other. We had that comfortability.
Yeah, and I think
That's one of those.
Chip really allowed sort of that collaboration from the actors as well, which you don't get a lot of the time. And so, like Kevin was saying, we were up late at night going over notes, going over the next scenes for the day, and sort of adding our own takes. And I think because we were so comfortable with each other, we were able to, feed off of each other and really get into it. And that was my favorite part as well. I feel like, you all are amazing. I look up to all of you. And so I was like, wow, to be in this hotel with everyone and look up to everyone and watch your performance, that was really amazing.
Well, at times I found it a bit challenging, because obviously, I played the antagonist in this. So I really liked everybody so much, and it's like, I can't like them too much. You know what I mean? I have to find a way to kind of make them look a little bit less likable. And it was extremely challenging.
Well, raise your hand. So
Except for
it
Alan.
comes back to you. Raise your hand if everyone really did not like Sylvia. I mean, come on.
I succeeded.
This is my video.
As things started going on, I told him, okay, if you ever feel like you're getting to like everybody too much and you need a little bit of animus, just think to myself, I'm having Hot Pockets tonight for dinner. And that'll just get you straight off.
Hot Pockets with a side of pizza rolls, which are little Hot Pockets.
Still 11 months later, and it's still so real.
It's still better than Pop-Tarts, okay?
You can at least dip those. You can at least dip those in a ranch dressing or something.
I mean, in my opinion, whoever likes or whoever eats Pop-Tarts eats small children too.
Well, I guess the secret's out, guys. I mean, don't bring your children around me.
That man's eating children over there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I will say though, when Lisa Lewis wore many hats on this production, but when she really threw together a meal, man, it was. I mean, we had some good food. I mean, it was.
She was
so good.
She was a real hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, except don't try to walk into her kitchen.
No.
No, never.
Kevin, do you remember Owen sitting there? He kept like devouring the food over and over and over again between each take. We kept having to fill up his plate. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He destroyed it. Like, we're not gonna have any more to put on that plate for this scene.
Come on, kid. We're not doing 5 takes. We got 2 and we got to go.
He's looking for the one take. Yeah, we're just gonna do this.
No, he was destroying it. I think he went through a couple pieces of chicken quite quickly.
Yep.
So
What do you
Sylvia,
think is?
you mentioned it was sorry, Matt. Yeah,
No,
you
you're fine.
mentioned it was challenging to be around the rest of the cast because you're the antagonist. But was that the most challenging part of playing the Dark?
No. I mean that was more or less a technicality, because I had full control of that. I mean I can turn that like kind of good naturedness that existed between us. I can turn it off when I start playing my character. What's difficult is the nature of my character. And because for me, the only way to really bring across all these deep layers was to really just kind of like approach a territory that I normally don't travel in. So it was kind of unfamiliar ground, and that can be a little bit intimidating. And at the same time, I had to be the one that intimidates others. So I kind of had to suck it up and own it. And that was probably the bigger challenge.
So what would you say was the outside of what Silvio just said, kind of going on what he just said, what would, with all of your characters, what would you say was the most challenging aspect of playing your characters? I guess we can start with Sarah on that one.
well,
You're first up there.
Lucky you.
I actually loved my character, so wasn't a whole lot of challenge there. That sounds really silly, but I was just grateful that I was able to have that role. I mean, she's a bright light. So I mean, there's one scene that she's not, and again, it'll make sense when you see it, but even then, I was still being nice. So
well, sometimes, being nice and, trying to be the light of the group can also have its own pressures. I can imagine as that character. So, I think you're fortunate that you enjoyed it so much.
Sarah, there's an easy fix to that. Next season, you'll be joining my side.
Ooh.
Oh.
Maybe. That might not be tricky either, though. That might actually be just so much fun too. So,
Much like her character, she's so nice. She's just like, okay, let's do it.
I mean, you can't complain when someone's just a good person. I mean, there's not really much to be bothered by there. I was like, all right, this is fantastic. I can do this. So,
What about you,
no, I
Kevin?
really,
What's that?
I said, what about you?
Repeat the question, because I was all lost in Sarah's answer, because I was trying to.
We were working off of Silvio talking about some aspects of portraying that character could be difficult because he had to go into places that he normally doesn't go into, those sorts of realms. What about yours? Was there any instances in which you had some trouble working into that type of character, especially where he was at that place and time?
Yeah, not really. I don't know if I would say I had trouble getting into the character. Even though I don't know this man personally, I understand this individual quite well. I think the hardest part was probably trying to not show too much too fast. I think because I have to go through a lot of different emotions. Good, bad, happy, sad, tough. When to back off, when to push. Even though I think I'm a leader as a congregational leader. Really, I don't lead in the beginning. I have to be taught how to lead by another character within the group, and who does it quite remarkably well. And there's a very, very big twist there that kind of, it's almost, you don't see it, but this character almost like hands me the reins and says, okay, it's yours, take over. But I've lost it all. I had to strip myself down and not believe anything because I've lost it all. And then I slowly start to get a sliver of hope, and then a little bit more. So again, I think just trying not to go from 0 to 10 like that. I had to kind of pace myself. That was the hardest part.
Now, when you first got on set, do you all feel like, I know I do when I first step onto a stage, there's an intimidation factor when you walk on, when you're ready to start production like that and you see how everything's going down? Does it like change your mind, any preconceived mindset that you might have had first walking before you walked in?
I don't think it's.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, I don't think it's so much an intimidation thing. It's just kind of getting acclimated to your environment, especially if it's, a cast that you've never worked with, because everyone has their, we're all artists. So we have our own kind of quirky ways that we work and our own methodology, and just kind of feeling everyone out and getting that. And of course, you go into it with a specific, you read the script, you've got an image in mind, and then seeing how everything kind of changes once you're there on the day. You kind of mentally scramble to reacclimate, but it's just it's not an intimidation thing for me. It's just kind of last minute figuring everything out and the ins and outs of how everyone works and adapting.
Yeah, I think what John said, it's really it's not that it's fearful. It's not that you're scared. It's just, first off, you don't want to mess up. I mean, I don't want to mess up, what Alan's doing or John. I don't want to be the guy to mess up a scene, because our job is to be there and be prepared. Our job is not to be there and try to learn what the dialogue is and what everything is. So that's where it comes down to when we all hung out. It changed. I mean, the first 3 days it changed. Yeah, the first day you show up and you're kind of filling yourself out, and then you realize, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is who we're going to be with. Let's get to know each other. Let's have fun and make the best of this and enjoy it. And then when you leave, it's a lot like you said, Matt. It's like theater. When you walk away, you have that, you're sad because you have lived with these people for a month and a half. So it was a lot like theater in that aspect, is it happened so quick and it was over with.
Yeah, I want to.
Different because I wasn't on set with them every day, and I didn't stay with them. I was only on for a few days, and so for me it was a different experience. I felt a little more intimidated walking into a group that was already so close and established, and that they were staying together all the time and doing everything together. So that was a little bit different for me in that aspect.
Yeah,
but you did make it back for Halloween, right?
We did make it back for Halloween. Yes. Kevin was super helpful there, so I appreciate him for that.
And Jessica made it back too.
Yeah.
We did. We went trick-or-treating.
Good. Yeah.
What was both of you?
But let me throw something in there.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
The 31st was not only Halloween, but it was my daughter's birthday. And as soon as Kevin found that out, he was like, all right, let's do this. We're going to make sure you're out of here. We're going to figure this out. Let's go. And I was like, all right. So, and I did make it home. My daughters were super thrilled.
Yeah.
Awesome. You were saying, Sylvia?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Let me throw something in there real quick. And I'm sure that most of you, if not all of you, can agree on that. And it connects to your question. When you come to the set, new set, new production, if you're lucky, you will run into people that you've worked with before. So you already know, what they are capable of, that you get along with them or not. But in this case, there wasn't a single person on this crew or this cast that I had any trouble with, working with, hanging out with. But it's just that first moment when you come to the set and you meet your cast, if you haven't met them before, and you kind of check them out, you kind of figure like, all right, so how's this going to pan? Is there chemistry there? Is there a symbiotic potential there? You know what I mean? And on this production, with every person that I met, within moments of talking, I was at ease. I knew, oh, this is going to be easy. Don't get me wrong. The work isn't easy, but being with these individuals is going to be easy. It's going to be great. It's going to be great fun to work with. First time I locked eyes with Kevin and we shook hands, and I was like, okay, this is going to be great. So that really made my day or days, because I met them on different days, and that makes all the difference in the world. The worst thing you can have happen, of course, if that doesn't happen, if there's animosity or you feel there's just no chemistry there, and you have to try really hard to bridge that. Super uncomfortable. But there was none of that on this production. Everybody was really just like a big old family. It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
It was almost
posting pictures on set, and the other people weren't there. I remember Sylvia, for example, being like, I feel like I'm really supposed to be there. I really feel like I'm missing out. I'm supposed to be there right now. But you were even there on days that you weren't supposed to be on set, because you were there with me that day. So
yep.
You still miss it. When you're not there, you miss it.
Well, that has a lot to do also with how Chip and Matthew, listen, it starts at the top. So they have an easy personality, and you deliver and you get your job done. But Matthew, he's in a position.
An easygoing personality.
Yeah. Well, since Chip's not here, I can't talk more on his side, but I will for you. But I was taught a long time ago that you never want to get on the bad side of a DP, because if you do, you might be out of focus a little bit, and then that means they have to cut to the other person on your close-ups. So everyone was really nice to Matthew. Everyone.
I definitely felt the love every day.
And I will say,
such a unique.
Is that sort of like don't piss off the cook?
Exactly.
I think that was even a bigger problem. We wanted to make sure that we didn't do that more than the DP, because Lisa, if you wanted to eat, you better act right.
She will kill you.
Better act right.
Get some act right.
She has the keys to all of your rooms. She will cut your throat in the middle of the night.
Dylan, didn't you come in? You came in a few days afterwards, though, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I was just waiting till everyone had their opinions out there. But like Sarah, I was a little bit intimidated, only because everyone was there. You guys had already been working, I think, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong. So going into it, I was like, they already kind of clicked. Like, how is this going to work? So I said this before. I felt like the new kid on the block, or the new kid who just transferred to like a new school. But fortunately, everyone was just super friendly, and it was just a warm welcome. people that I met instantly, I think, introduced themselves to me right away. And it's about like reading the room, like understanding, like Silvio and other people were saying, is just knowing how everyone works, because you don't want to hinder another actor, especially if they're prepping for a scene or whatever it may be. So just really reading the room. But fortunately with this cast and crew, we had such a camaraderie of family that it was just super easy to kind of mesh with everybody, and it made it so much easier on set.
But it's also symbolic of your character. When people see the first episode, you kind of came in late, so it kind of worked with your character. And we were watching the scene, and when Dylan makes his appearance in the episode, I'm kneeling down beside him along with Jessica and Kelly, I think, and someone's talking, and my wife goes, "Oh, this is a great scene." I go, "Oh, you don't know what was going on." She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Oh, he's got his eyes closed." I'm like, Wet Willie in, and like blowing on his head. I mean, I was pinching him.
This was my first day on set, so I was like, this dude, I swear. So I'm just sitting here, I'm like, all right, I'm just trying to do my job and kind of just like messing around. I'm like, all right, I'm too scared to laugh at this point. It's my first day. I got a lot to prove to everybody. So between him doing that, and then we had Kelly spilling water on me during the scene. And I looked at her in the eyes. I'm like, please don't spill that on me. She's like, that's my worst nightmare. And 2 seconds later, we're in the middle of the scene, and she feeds me water, and it starts dribbling down my face. And I just hear this like soft laugh she's trying to muffle coming out. And I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm just gonna start laughing in the middle of the scene. I'm the new guy. Like, what is this?
But that's how quickly we all got along so well. It's awesome. I miss it.
I miss you guys.
And I was going to say
rare
this
kind of magic.
I've met and worked with Silvio, although we've never shared screen time. I had worked, of course, with Rossetti Productions before, and I had met John once, which he probably doesn't even remember. But Kevin, I think it was the day of or the night before on Facebook. I think he found me or I found him, whatever, but he ends up sending me a message. Hey, I'm Kevin. Can't wait to work with you, Alan. And that was before I'd even met him in person yet. So I just thought that was the coolest thing. The cast and the crew, everybody involved, such great people. And I'm so excited for everybody to be able to see what all of you guys have been able to do. It's incredible. Within the first few minutes, I was like, gosh, I know what's going to happen, and I think I might cry. Just by watching, like Kevin and Sarah, for example, it's awesome. I couldn't be happier.
You wouldn't even know we shot it. I was so sucked into the story. I almost forget that I was part of it. I was just so entranced.
Oh, and just so you know, and Jessica's husband also does make an appearance. So we won't give that away, but
no.
He's in there.
Little Easter eggs. He's in there a couple times, so it's like spot the Doug.
Yeah, I for one, I have seen some of Rossetti Productions stuff before. I guess my question is, with some of you that have crossed each other's paths before, do you think that you were able to take from some of the characters you played before and bring it into some of the characters that you were portraying in the dark?
Actually, for me, yeah, one that I had already filmed with Rossetti Productions on the 3. I was a mother who was also, not to give away stuff, just going through some loss and not able to care for her kids as well. So yeah, I guess actually I didn't really think about that. Yeah, I guess I kind of carried that a little bit over into the dark.
Yeah,
sorry for the blackout, guys. I'm outside of my car. I'm trying to I'm taking over the dark's lighting.
It's very moody.
Very moody.
Very nice halo right there. Just
yes, that's what it is. The halo. That's what I was going for.
Well, I can answer your question real quick. I'm German.
Okay, fun backstory on that. So I was actually in the room the day that Silvio did his audition. And I remember him talking to me beforehand. I'm so sick of playing the bad guy. I want to play the good guy. And lo and behold, he gets cast as the Dark, which is essentially the devil. And I remember him talking about it, and I said, "What you think? What have you been typecast?" He goes, "It's the German thing. Apparently, we're all Nazis, you know." Like,
It's already written.
well, you're playing the devil. The only way to go is up from here.
Why play the good guy and feel bad when you can play the bad guy and feel so good?
Oh,
Yes.
I see what you do there.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah, Nazi, nutty professor, and just outright villain, you know? Like, pretty much, you know, you're predestined to play these characters if you're German.
Which is a shame because German is a beautiful language anyway.
Oh, dankeschön, dankeschön.
Mein bitte.
Hey, Matt, I want to make sure that we do have the opportunity, because I know they're not with us tonight, but Kelly's mom was played by Donna Botts, and Martin Kleba came in and did some stuff for us, and Sharon Lanier, and love these characters. Robert Shepard and Joette Waters, very, very interesting characters. And of course, you know, we had Bishop Stevens, which plays a very strong role with Kelly's story as well, and Shane Doyle. So you know, we had a good group of people here that, and one guy that blew me away, man. I don't know what you guys think. Adam Michaels was fantastic.
Oh, phenomenal.
Oh yeah, he was awesome.
Phenomenal.
He did really well.
I mean, not only did he just play the character great, but he just looked, you know, that long hair and
Perfect.
You know,
You could tell he had a lot of fun with
Dance
that
and
part.
walk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he crushed it. And what a great guy, man. What a really
And very talented too, not just in acting. He's a great artist.
Oh, fantastic artist.
You know,
super talented.
Oh, he's an artist. He's a musician. Dude, he's one of those guys that's like so good at everything that it like kind of makes you sick.
Oh, I hate him. Yeah, he's like we all hate him.
Great guy.
Well, that's how you know that you like somebody, is you have to dog them. That's why I dog Alan all the time. And because Alan's a good guy.
I can take it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
easier to accept when you don't know it's when you know it's not true.
Well, yeah, of course. And you can dish it out just as well. So
there you go.
So what would you all say is probably the most fun you had on set? I know you were talking about you enjoyed the hotel and all this stuff, but the most fun you had while shooting?
Oh, there were so many good times. I'm like racking through my brain right now to pick one.
It's hard to single anything out. Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it was all such a great experience. Kelly, I had fun with some of our goofing. We played around with our scripts a little bit just to kind of get out of like the robotic, how we were, you know, after a few weeks of our, so I remember those nights were always fun. We did some fun stuff. But,
yeah, I would say like one for me was we were doing a night shoot and it was with just me and Alan. And I don't know if it was just because it was a long day on set, so we were super delirious when we shot this, and I think Matt can attest to this. But we did a scene where, I don't know, for whatever reason, we shot it as if Alan and I were in a horror movie, like a legit horror movie. And so there's this take where we're like creeping towards the camera really slow, and we forgot in the script it says like run. And so I remember Chip just like yelling cut, starts laughing. I don't know, I think we were laughing for like 15 minutes at the fact that it just looked, just two guys like close together in this like dark shed in the middle of the woods, and we're slowly creeping towards the camera.
Yeah,
was it at the Western stage thing?
Yes. Yeah. I think what happened there was Dylan and I were just talking amongst ourselves, talking about like, this kind of feels like a horror, you know, type deal. And then, and knowing good and well in the script, we're supposed to run. But as soon as it was action, we were still in that mindset, and we were just like,
tiptoe.
And then finally Chip's like, cut. What? It just,
what was that?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Chip, he would sometimes have to throw in those one or two liners for us when one of the other cast wasn't there, you know, just for insert shots or whatever. And Kelly, I don't know if you remember, but it was an intense scene. We were off to go look for Peter. We were kind of on our own for a minute. So guns are drawn. We're high alert. We have one line that's supposed to startle us. And so we're gearing up for the same way you are. We're kind of doing the same thing, terrorized. We're looking around. We're so on edge. And then we're waiting for the line, and it's Chip in his Kermit the Frog voice going, too late. I can't do it. But I mean, it was, and we didn't react. And I remember him saying, you guys didn't even break for that. I'm like, we wanted to. It was the funniest, out of place. He would just throw those little
I think
things.
that encouraged him to try to get us every take more and more because we couldn't break, and so we
were solid. Yeah.
Of us
I mean, that was the funniest thing I had never expected to hear in that moment. So little things like that.
Yeah, little things like that you can take with you.
Yes,
I think one of the funniest guys, on the whole cast definitely had to be Martin Kleber. I didn't know what to expect with him, right? So he was just hilarious.
What you're getting here is you're getting people who are familiar with each other. You just hang out and you start having fun because, someone asked me on an interview the other day what my favorite scenes were, and there's so many. I couldn't remember them all because we just had so many shooting days in situations. But what do you take away from something like this? You take away this camaraderie, this stuff, the jokes. Me, goofing off with Dylan, or when Sarah and I, they're in the very opening scene, when you see what happens with her and I together, in the middle of the take, there's still goofy stuff. I'm still, messing with her and just laughing. And, when you leave,
I did also get the wet willy during that. That was great.
You too.
Oh, no.
They're more dry willies for the girls. But I leave and I look back and you have pleasant thoughts, and that's what it's about, because you're not going to remember every scene. You're not going to remember how many times you did this take or whatever, but you do remember how you feel about someone, and you remember how much fun you had with them, or if you had a laugh, or, oh, their routine was always doing this and they always did that before they shot, or in the morning or in the evening, and you get to know each other. And that was
make up your own gym, in the middle of nowhere. Everybody has.
Yeah, and to capitalize on what Kevin just said, I was watching the show and I didn't remember certain scenes that I was in, but I remembered what was happening behind the camera. When we wasn't filming, I remember what was happening at that moment, but I just don't remember acting.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I was thinking that too.
Thing. Yeah.
I remember the feeling and what we were doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was rewatching it as a new eyes. It was awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you mean.
I think that's really hard to come by too. Just from my limited experience on a TV series set and also a film set, you can tell that when you get a good crew like you all cast, and of course technical and the cinematography, everything, when you get good people in there, it makes a world of a difference, because when you can tell a lot of times when I'm watching something, I can pick apart these, watching a movie, I'm going, okay, these two people are supposed to be very close to one another. They're supposed to share feelings. They're supposed to share emotions, but I can see completely right through them like rice paper. Mm. But it's developing that camaraderie. Just even in watching the trailers and the behind the scenes video Alan sent me, even just talking to you all tonight, if outside of that, I could tell that you all just were so close to one another and just having a great time. And, when you look back on, however long, your acting career is from now till, whenever, you look back, I'm sure this is going to be a production that really stands out to you.
Well, go ahead, John.
For me, we've all done a lot of these things, man. I've been on more film sets than I can even really remember, but I can very, very sincerely say that on the last day, this was one of the hardest groups for me to drive away from. Undoubtedly, it was just such a good time, and it was so personal, and I think we all really genuinely cared about the project, and we all felt good about the project. I think we all felt good about what we brought to the table, and just the family that we had built there was just something really kind of rare and special. And that it's always sad leaving you know, well, it's not always sad, but you know, often it's very, you know, it's a bittersweet when you wrap a production. And this one really felt like I was, you know, I was leaving home to go to another home.
That's true. I mean, I remember we were all at the wrap party, and I know you had to head out before that, but at the wrap party, to me, that was one of the highlights of the entire production, of sitting there, goofing off, laughing, because everything was gone. There's no more work to be done. You can breathe, you just goof off and have fun. That was, you know, Jonathan Plowman at Questar, thanks to him for putting that together. And Lisa and Chip and Matthew, they all just kind of got together and said, you know, let's do a rap party, which is, you can't do a film without a rap party, right? So you gotta have. But you know, I was looking through the lens, you know, in my eyes lens, watching the other night. You know, I remember there's a few shots that stood out that Matthew captured, and it's one of them was when we're all in the theater hiding from the bad guys, and John's looking through that door, and that sharp light just cuts him right across the eyes.
Oh, man.
I noticed that too, yeah.
Beautiful. And I was like, oh, Matthew. And then my next favorite shot was, without giving things away, is when we're all leaving out of the church, and we cut to Sarah. And those two shots, man, were just, those are beautiful shots. Not that you didn't do many more, but those really stood out to me.
Thanks.
And people will see those when they see the movie.
Well, and I did want to mention too. Nope, go ahead,
Sorry.
Sarah.
No, I was just going to say it was funny because there was a scene that we did where it kept rolling. And so Kevin and I just kept talking and talking and talking and talking and waiting for it to cut. And part of that is actually in there. So I thought that was kind of cool. And I noticed that because I'm like, yep, that was when we were still like, so, and we just kept going. And Chip was like, I just want to see how long you guys would talk. Part of it made it in there. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah, there's one particular moment that I just remember that really kind of, I don't know, it just described the whole production to me in a nutshell. And that was, I think it was the last day of production even, when it started to rain. Wasn't it the last day? I think it was. When we're out in the woods, you know, and we're doing like the, you know, confrontation, and I don't want to give too much away, you know, of the narrative or whatever, but we were racing against the clock because there was a storm front moving in, and we were trying to beat it, and we almost made it. And then the rain started coming in, but we didn't have a choice, right? We had to finish it. So, you know, everybody came together, crew and cast, you know, we started thinking on our feet, all right, what can we do? You know, let's, you know, build a shelter for the camera. You know, all the actors huddled together under this tent, everybody else huddled together under that tent. And then the actors would quickly, you know, do a final rehearsal or whatever. And then we were standing there, you know, kind of like an athlete ready, waiting for the starter pistol. All right, ready? The moment say go, you're going to run to your spot. You're going to deliver your lines, and then you run back under the tent because you can't get wet, right? So that's what we did. You know, we waited, like, go. Back under the tent. It was hilarious, but we got it done. And it looked fantastic. And yeah, so, you know, kudos that we pulled it off.
So as the DP, Matt, what was your, is there any particular shot or scene that was being filmed that sticks out in your memory?
Actually, Kevin, already when I saw that shot, both of them had to do with John, actually. The one shot where he's at the door in the theater, because I really liked how that looked. And then it was probably our wooliest day on set was with the airplane and trying to light that on fire. By that point, I think we'd been, if we hadn't been so comfortable with one another, the place that we shot at, Park Mammoth, has these shooting ranges, and they had decrepit cars. And actually there was an airplane, part of an airplane that Chip had used for his movie Turbulent. And we were getting a little bit punchy, and we had some pyrotechnics that didn't really go as well as they could that day. So I think Chip and I were starting to really get a little frustrated, and we decided to vent by being just a little bit of firebugs. And so I was just like, what if we set that plane on fire? You know, because fire always adds something to a scene. And then we can like push it down behind John. And Chip's just like, okay, because I don't get loopy a lot, but Chip ran with it because he just.
Isn't that when you also added, like, it wasn't enough to get the fire going. Didn't you guys dump a bunch of gasoline? Like, I remember waiting a few seconds. They're like, nah, a little bit more. I'm like, it will catch, but eventually.
Oh, by that
adding.
point, yeah. By that point, Rick Shaw, who was the guy that was running our stunts and doing all of our fire, I think he was sort of just done because he'd had his own problems and, everything worked.
Well,
but it was definitely, every time we did that, yeah, it was a problem. And so it was all done very safely.
We had a safety.
So it was miles behind all the actors, so everything was fine. But I think that, I think the long and short of it is that we had a lot of hard days on set, where things weren't necessarily going right and the weather wasn't cooperating. And if we hadn't have had such a great interpersonal relationship and this sort of warehouse of all these good times, these everyday good times together, I don't think we could have gotten through what we did. And it just goes to show what great people we had. I think when you talked about seeing behind the scenes things and being able to read into what a good production is, there are so many things that have to go right for something to work. And a lot of it just gets chalked up to luck. You can do as much pre-production as you want, and you can make casting decisions that you think are going to work, but until you get everybody in the same place, breathing the same air, you really don't know what's going to happen. And these people were just awesome, committed, creative professionals and just wonderful folks to work with. And I don't think it would have worked as well without all that. And it's unbelievable that all that came together.
Everybody but Alan.
Everybody but
Two people we haven't mentioned, Kyla and Diana, the makeup department, were critical members of the crew and the family. Yes. And it would not have been both on set and behind the scenes and just hanging out. I mean, they're both such great people and hard workers, and definitely would not have been the same without them.
John, because think about it. I mean, no one really understands. If you're not in this business, they don't understand what goes into this. And with Kyla and Valerie, and I mean, they're sitting there. Diane, and they're sitting. Brian, there's a sound.
Yeah,
those are the people that we're hanging out with. Like they're the people that we are with the most. They hear all the, oh, I'm so tired, or whatever, what's going on, but. That's like your extended family. Like you have different parts of the family, right? So it's kind of cool to have them acknowledged, not only because they did a great job, but because they're the behind the scenes. Like Matt's more or less behind the scenes. So would be Chip, and they don't get the acknowledgement that all of us would, only because we just happen to be seen on camera. But if it wasn't for all these people doing everything, including Lisa, as we talked about before, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do this. And even the Kentucky Film Commission. I mean, we're very fortunate to have had a good crew. We're very, very lucky to have had the crew and the cast that we had.
Oh, I can only second that. I mean, especially the makeup department, what struck me about them was not just that they were great at their job, obviously, but they really, really genuinely cared. They were so warm-hearted and like really out there just, because like actors, like getting in, having their makeup redone or whatever, or even Brian, fixing the audio time and again. I mean, not one time were they short with us or in any way, like anything but completely accommodating and caring. Like really, really, like there was true warmth there from these people. And I can stress enough how important it is, for the talent, for the cast to get that kind of support from the crew. That goes a really long way. I mean, it just, gives you fuel.
When you say Sylvia, it was completely above and beyond. I mean,
totally
beyond what anyone would have ever done. Ever.
Yes, I've been on very, very few sets where I could state the same sentiments like that.
There's always, usually most film sets, there's always, and I think most of us, there's always the one guy that kind of, the one problem person, or the diva or something. It's really hard to have a film set that doesn't have at least that one. And I remember a very specific moment where I'm looking around at how awesome everybody was. And I'm like, oh my God, is it me? So it's gotta be me. I'm the jerk.
I'm done. Yeah.
It's Alan.
They really do set the tone. Like, just to piggyback off of everybody, I had to be on some days. I was because of the makeup I had to get on for my character. I was the first one in the chair on the days where I was shooting for like a lot of my scenes primarily. And they really do set the tone. Like in the morning, being up super early, just seeing Kyla smile. Like there was never a complaint. Like it was always nice to be welcomed by her, and it always helped just start the day on a better note. And I would like to like shout out the interns we had on set, Noam, Jake, and their teacher, Ben, who were phenomenal, as well as crew hands. And they had a lot of hats too, but they were just amazing to have, just really refreshing to see young students on set too. Yeah.
Another cool thing too, you mentioned getting into makeup in the morning. Was it, correct me if I'm wrong, was it if you're the first one in the chair, you get to be the DJ?
True.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I don't know. I had my makeup done by someone who was not a makeup artist one day. Kevin? All my eyes were closed, and yeah, so that was fun. So there's some video footage of that where Sarah had no idea what was going on, and
I must have missed that one.
I might have it right here. Let me try to find it.
Send it to me. We'll edit that in.
We'll put that in a blooper reel on the tail end of this.
Close your eyes and you open up, and it's a totally different person. Totally different makeup look, you know.
No, you guys mentioned Robert and Joette earlier. My goodness. I mean, my very first day on set was with those two. I had never met them before, never worked with them before. Anything that you see with me and them was my very first day. And they were an absolute blast. So, I mean, the way Robert just, like, both of them, I mean, their looks and how they just could play those characters like it just comes natural. You know, but they're the complete opposite of that, and how sweet that they are. And again, I don't want to give anything away, but when you guys watch that show, I hope that, you know, the public, I hope you appreciate those two performances just as much as we do, because they floored me.
Fun fact about Joette, if I can just chime in a little bit. So Joette's actually from Chicago as well, which is ironic, because I didn't know she was in the show until I saw her like getting, you know, marketed. And it, honestly, I kid you not, it wasn't my fault. It looked nothing like her in real life. Like the picture, they did such a good job with hair and makeup to make her look totally different. And we're actually on the same ensemble in the theater company in Chicago. So it was so cool to see that. I was like, Joette, what the heck? We were at like a meeting. I was like, you were in this show too? Like what? And she showed me a picture. I'm like, that was you? Like what? She's amazing. Yeah, such a big heart, but amazing performances for sure.
What you're going to see here is the full trailer for The Dark, presented by the cast and crew, Rossetti Productions, starring everybody that you see here, as well as everybody else that they have mentioned, which we wish them the very best. Go ahead, Alan.
Look at me. Look at me. They're on their way.
Promise me, Peter. Promise me you'll find him.
Peace. All I ever wanted was peace.
It's time to go find Daniel. None of you even know what's out there.
We have to do something.
You're the only one that can get us there. We leave first thing in the morning. How did they know we were here, Jeremy? What? 5 minutes later, they're right on top of us. How did you know? We're not leaving him behind. You don't have a choice, Blake. Neither does he.
We've been expecting you. Peter, father of Daniel, who is in the Keep of the Dark.
I know what's real and what's true. Don't you want what's real?
Only you, Mommy. I want to be with you.
Somebody help us! Hey!
His fear is my joy. His pain will be your pain, and his suffering will be proof.
I want to see my son.
We all want things, Mr. Braxton. This is my time.
I don't know if anybody can see that, but I literally have goosebumps on my arm right now.
Yay! I'm so excited for next week.
And Owen,
y'all are so good.
After watching that, I have no idea why Sylvia always plays the bad guy.
No,
don't see it.
Oh no, looks like a good guy to me.
Thanks.
Little Owen, man, he blew me away. Is this Matt? Is this the first credit for Owen?
That's a very good question. I'm actually not sure on that because I know that
I think that's what his mom said.
that wouldn't. Yeah, I think
That
that's
what
right.
you said?
Yeah, I mean that kid is really something. I mean, what I find so remarkable about him is how willing he was to let, like, Kevin and I, coach him in the scenes that we were in together. I mean, he just soaked it up, and he had no trouble kind of putting himself under our care, so to speak, and under our guidance, and he soaked it up, and he improved, like, from take to take to take. It got better and better and better. Wouldn't you agree, Kevin?
Yeah, he was trying to really learn. What I thought was really funny about this whole thing was when he came to set on the first day with that big old big scratch. I was like, oh, okay, we're writing that into the script. That's great.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've watched that trailer 5 times. Yeah, that would have been the 5th time that I've watched it, and I tell you what, your all's performances just blow me away, and the cinematography, just bar none, is great, Matthew. Thank you so much for your expertise on that. It just looks so good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's
I mean, honestly,
I love that scene in the movie theater, Alan. That scene that you did there just always blows me away.
What's that?
When you were it was you and Jeremy and we were hiding in the movie theater. It showed the trailer. Yeah, the Opera House. Yeah, I love that scene.
That was well. That was very personal for me.
It was also near the end of the shooting too. We were
that was our last day.
Yeah,
Alan brought the heat that day, man.
Yeah.
He really really impressed me that day.
Was that up at Guntown, Alan?
It was. It was at Froggett's Guntown Mountain. My family
I get it.
has big history up there. So anyway, yeah, it was very sentimental. But yeah, I was told my my girlfriend while we were watching that. Again, I don't remember the act of doing that, but I remember immediately after Kevin. I remember you did, and John just came over and gave me a hug, like after we cut, and that was such a powerful. I do remember that part of it. It was such a powerful and sentimental moment. And for the character itself, I think that might have, because I don't think I'm all that great. I just try to react and do the best that I can, but I think that might have been very, very good for my character, for my performance. That's where that scene was shot, because it was just getting me. Yeah. But
yeah, I mean, as a matter of fact, Alan is so bad and so atrocious that I had to cast him in a main role in one of my own films. So just because I needed a really crappy actor, so I reached out to Alan. And
I taught him everything he knows.
You don't know how happy I am about that.
I love you, man.
Bad guy, so the real me gets to come out.
Which is, by the way, I don't want to drop things here or whatever, but I do it anyway. Just stay tuned. We're almost done with editing that film, and you're going to see Alan in a killer, no pun intended, in a killer performance in that. I'm really, really excited, and I can't wait to share that with you guys. Hoping to drop it, like early next year. But it's going to be amazing. I'm not going to give too much away, but Alan is exploring a whole different aspect, as an actor, as a character in that. So, it's going to be really, really awesome.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another day, but I want to thank you for that, because that's the toughest thing I've ever done, film-wise. You pushed me hardcore, buddy. Like that, yeah, I almost hyperventilated.
You can handle it.
Silvio, man. Silvio's right behind the camera. He's just as good behind the camera as he is in front of it. That was great.
It helps that he's German, so you kind of fall in line really quick.
Yeah, that authority,
That's right.
But no. Yeah, thanks for that, John. That was sweet. Thank you, sir. You were the exact opposite of Mike and Blake.
Yes. Yeah. No. I think that's why it was so fun to give you grief. You're so likable, and Mike is such a he's such a grumpy.
I
Grump.
think Adrian had a few grudges herself. I think.
Yeah. No. Well, because Mike has a problem with authority, and you're the mother, and he's the angsty teen. he doesn't want to hear it, Mom.
You're screwing up, boy. Get in line.
So what's something that you since we can kind of bring this down a little bit, what would you like for the audience to take away from the show The Dark?
You can always go back on Gladiator and just say, "Are you not entertained?" Because that's
there
obviously
you go.
the first rule.
I was gonna say, well, they're definitely gonna be entertained. I mean, I couldn't look away, but
Yeah, there was a thought that came to me while watching it. This was before coronavirus, and people were gonna watch this wanting to know when we filmed. This was October of 2019.
Yeah.
And just watching it within the first episode, I was like, whoa. Like, there's certain lines in the show to where I was like, wow. Like, and we had no clue that this was like right around the corner. Like, everybody was just gonna have to be a hermit, held up, and you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Whether it's gonna be okay or it's gonna be worse, or
there's a scene where Pastor and his family were having a meal, and they had brought up a few things that are extremely relevant to home life right now, which I thought was insane. I'm like, this is happening now. So
that was one of those. Yep.
Yeah, so that was pretty early on too, so they'll see that right away. But it definitely got my attention. I'm like, that's where we are at the moment.
Yep.
At this moment.
This is very timely, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely relatable. Yeah, I think people are gonna love it. At least I hope they do. It may be a little too much for some, but I think it's gonna be very comforting for others. And then, of course, the religious aspect of it. I mean, it's golden. It's gold.
They're definitely being tested at every turn. So.
Yep. Yeah.
Characters. Anytime you have an ensemble group like this with such a variety of characters, there's somebody for everyone to connect with and root for and follow. And with the performances that you guys brought to those individual archetypes, it's very human. It's a very human story, and I think that's really important.
You're right. The characters, that's the other thing, is they're so, like, on a normal day, they don't know that they would have crossed paths usually, but they all stand out so much on their own.
Yeah, we're like the Breakfast Club at the end of the world.
Yes. The community is so strong, but it's so weird that it is. It's just like that. I got one of every personality in there. So.
What I find remarkable too is, I've been contemplating that a few times. It's like filmmakers, actors, anybody involved really in the creative process of making movies or making TV series, is we have a tremendous responsibility and tremendous power in the storytelling. And you look at Hollywood, like, you realize how, like, some of the bad productions out of Hollywood, how they kind of cater to the wrong sentiments, how they manipulate people in a bad way, in a negative way, right? And we actually, had an opportunity in this production to do the opposite. We had the responsibility and the opportunity to really leave a mark that is empowering to the people watching this. And I can't stress that enough, that what a responsibility that is for us, right? We have, when we're going to war in making a movie, literally and figuratively speaking, sometimes, we need to be very, very careful with that weapon, right? Because it can be used for good or bad. And the storytelling here is definitely used for good.
Yeah.
And Chip always writes things. Obviously, we make faith-based films because we're trying to reinforce that message of faith. And in this, you have people that are clinging to their faith because that's all that they have left. You have people that are persevering with their faith. And there are some people that have lost their faith that are trying to rediscover it. So at the end of the day, I think that it's these community of actors and how they help each other through it and how you persevere through your faith in God. That's the most important message.
Yep. And there's also the characters that lose it and never get it back. You know, it's so real, and yeah, I'm gonna get a little emotional if I keep going down that sentence, but yeah, I love it.
I think that's important because I mean, even for those that don't cater to the religious end of the story, I still think there's a lot of human aspects from all of the characters just broken down that they can relate to and find something in that, a type of message, which makes it very, very relatable to today.
It's morals. It's not, and that's I've complimented Chip on this in his writing in the past, unlike other Rossetti production projects, where it's not preachy. You don't feel like, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but you don't feel like something is just being crammed down your throat just for the sake of doing it.
No, you don't feel like somebody's shouting the movie at the end of at the top of a pulpit. You feel like you're just engrossed into what's happening, and by then, you feel it at the end.
Yep,
I think it's so unique that way though, because people that maybe don't have the same faith won't be turned off right away and may have an opportunity to then, explore it, at least check it out. It's not just a hardcore, you have to be involved. It opens up the gate, I think, to a lot of people that otherwise may be intimidated.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to good storytelling and strong characters. I mean, that's really, I mean, I never like when people refer to faith-based film as a genre, because really it's not. It's a message within the film, and at the end of the day, any film, no matter what the message is or what the genre is, it comes down to we're telling stories, and we're, as actors, we're trying to provide something human for people to latch onto and identify with. And I think that was done here. I think it tells a good story, and I think there's some strong human performances with some interesting characters, and that's what it's all about, really. I mean, that's what we do, is we tell stories, and I think this is a good one.
Hats off to Chip. It's a great one.
Yeah, right, I mean, you don't want to, I mean, you don't want to reach people whose faith is strong anyway, right? I mean, sure, it's probably some sort of reinforcing and maybe a sort of vindication or whatever, but I think where this show and the story and the writing and the narrative really kind of strikes a chord is with those on the fence. Like somebody said earlier, that already, I think it was Matt, already losing faith, right, and reinforcing it, or even people that are not necessarily Christian, don't necessarily have a faith, maybe even are more or less atheist, but are still touched, are still, kind of, you still grip them with the story, and that's powerful, okay? Like if you only reach people with that are already faithful, right, then it's very limited. You're catering to a very limited audience, but this has a much broader scope, which is what kind of attracted me to it in the first place.
It asks questions, it creates conversation, and that's what's important.
Yeah. Well, and it's all of the stories of these characters, they might be jaded or broken or lost, or nothing that's going on to them is nothing that couldn't happen in a contemporary world.
Exactly.
It just happens to be set at the end of times. And so that's what I think what these actors brought so humanly to their parts is the fact that they're all broken in some way, but they're all fighting through it in their own ways.
In their own ways, yeah.
It's been a year since we've been together, so this was fun, guys. I mean, this is kind of cool.
I think the thing that I'm looking forward to, the fact that this is a series and that we're already planning the next season of it. I like the fact that so many times when you're in a movie, that's a one-off. And like you said, we all come from very diverse backgrounds. So the idea that you go and you do a film with these people and you fight these fights together for a month and you come out on the other side and you never get to spend time with them again it's pretty depressing on a lot of projects. And the fact that we're doing this series and these are people that we get to hang out with again in the future, I'm really looking forward to.
Here's to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's too bad that Chip, chicken out on us here, because I would like make a request for the second season. If you can write something in there where the Dark gets to go on a tropical vacation.
But that's where we all have to go to find you, at least. So make sure that's in there.
That's right. Yeah, you track me down somewhere in
Darks.
Hawaii. Yep.
Yeah, that's where we find you. I like it.
Cool.
Oh yeah, everybody gets to find their faith on North Shore. All right, well, thank you all very, very, very much. I can't thank you all enough. Alan, thank you for putting this together. And, I've enjoyed talking to you as much as...
They're a great group of people.
Oh, absolutely. I can't say enough. I feel like I'm enriched now having spoken to you, and I really honestly, cannot wait until I see the episodes coming out October the 1st on Pure Flix. What was it you said, Alan? Can you said it was it's on DVD pre-order now as well?
It's available for pre-order now, QuestStarDVDstore.com. Yep, and available for streaming on Pure Flix October the 1st.
And believe me, this is a quality production and quality people. So I'm going to thank every single one of you. Excuse me. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Alan. I like his nod. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Silvio. Thank you, Kelly. Excuse me. Thank you, John. Let's see. I don't think I missed anybody. Yay.
No. Chip's not here to thank. So
yeah. Thank you, Chip. Just thank you all again.